Welcome to Early Access. I'm Katie Whitlock. I'm here with BJ. BJ, it's lovely to meet you.
Howdy.
BJ is actually, I'm going to try to get your episode out before Jeremy's, Remy. I don't know what name I'm supposed to use for him. But
He'll hate that. He'll really hate
yeah,
that.
he'll hate it. So it's not going to make sense if I start talking about Remy without saying who he is, because people are going to know you before they know him. But for everyone listening, as you know, I'm going through all my numbers right now. I'm kind of putting out all the extra interviews I had that weren't those first 9. BJ, you're a 2, which means you're going to come out before Remy, who's a 4. But Remy is somebody I interviewed, at this point, several months ago, maybe like 2 or 3 months ago. He was probably one of the first 2 or 3 interviews I did. And it was phenomenal and fantastic. It was so good that we had to split it into 2 podcasts.
Wow.
So for anyone listening who's interested, be warned that it's going to come out in 2 hour-long podcasts. But anyway, he said afterwards he noticed that I didn't have a lot of extra 2s. And he said, my friend BJ is a 2. Do you want to talk to him? And I said, sure. And so here we are. And now you're going to be released before him, so people are going to meet you before they meet Remy. But oh well.
The trusty sidekick before the main character.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So if you could, can you tell us a little bit about who you are? How old are you? What Enneagram? Well, I already told people you're 2. Just a little bit about who you are, maybe how you know Remy, anything that you feel like is important to know about you, right? Go ahead.
Sure. So being a 2, this is the hardest part of this episode, I imagine, because now I have to talk about myself for a moment, and I hate doing that.
Uh-huh.
I'm 35. I live in Texas. I met Jeremy through, so I'm a musician. I went to college for music, I teach drum lines in this area, percussion and things like that, on a contract basis. I've worked at a music store working with schools for probably 10, 11 years now. It's a great gig. And but I met Jeremy because I was looking for another band or 2 to play with, because I'm a glutton for punishment and what's more work to do. But I met this guy, and he was like, hey, I just joined this band with this dude. You'll love him. I don't know why he thought that, but he was absolutely right. We went to rehearsal, and I met this guy, and it was a rehearsal at a church, which was odd because we were playing like punk music, and it was pretty... Right. It was kind of edgy, and I was like, we're in a church in a small town. Like, what's going on? Yeah, I was like, is God signed off on? Anyway,
yeah, right.
But I just immediately clicked with the guy. He lived about an hour north of me in a different town, and with another guy from that band, we just started going up there a lot. And since then, he's moved here. And gosh, for 2 or 3 years, right after COVID, we probably spent 4 or 5 nights a week at a bar.
That's crazy.
And we're not crazy, like drinking people, but we would go, he would be like, I found $20, and we would go sit at them and just talk. And like, we called it like being Muppets. We would like sit at the bar, like Stadler and Waldorf, like the old guys in the balcony and just gripe. And we kind of became characters at this, not intentionally.
That's funny. Yeah.
It was just a really cool place. That bar's gone now. But we still do see each other a lot. We've kind of had different priorities and stuff come up. We don't really play in that band anymore.
Right.
And I'm sure he talked a ton about that as well. But, so he introduced me to the Enneagram, like we were talking about a little bit ago. The first test I took, I tested as a 9, and it didn't make any sense to me, which I've heard that happens a lot with 2s, and, like, they kind of get mixed up.
Yeah.
And so I just kept reading it going, I don't know if this is, like... did I do this right? And he's like, probably not. So we did, and here we are in my 2 universe.
In the 2-ness. Was it like, like you got the results, and right then you were like, oh, this is not right, and right then Remy was like, okay, let's do it again?
It kind of. So I read it and went, I think that's right, because I'm a 2 and I just accept what people say to me a lot of the time. And it's not like a defining thing, but it's like,
right.
Okay, maybe, I don't know, because I don't think about myself a whole lot. And so it took me a little while to like, no, I don't do that. Or I don't, like, there were companionship things about 9s that made a lot of sense to me. I like being around other people, but in a limited, small setting. And I don't like... It's not that I don't like large crowds, but small groups of people are like, man, really cool stuff happens there in my brain. But there were just other things that, and I can't remember what all they were, but I just was a little confused. So we redid it, and turns out, yeah, this made a whole lot more sense for how I kind of operate. And Jeremy said to me once, he was like, Remy, he was like, it doesn't put you in a box, it explains the box. So that we can navigate and he's always got these cool terminologies, the loser. So it just kind of, that clicked a whole lot more for me at that point.
That's cool. So I see when you were kind of telling me that offline before we started, I told you I think it's pretty common for 2s and 9s to mistype. And I said, I imagine especially male 2s to mistype as a 9, because what's happening, the test is only picking up your behavior. It can't pick up your motivation because it's a computer, right? Like it doesn't know why you do things. And what it's picking up on, I think, is that 2s, like you said, I just want everyone to get along, right? And 9s also just want everybody to get along. And 2s and 9s, along with 7s actually, are in something we call the positive outlook triad, which is just like, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's that you want to put a positive spin on things. The negative side of it is like you probably give people too many chances, right? Like you believe in people a little too long, maybe, is this positive outlook. Things are going to be fine. People are going to be fine, all the things. The difference is that 9s are kind of believing that for themselves so that they can feel comfortable, and 2s are believing it for the other person so that they can form a relationship with that person, right? I have to believe you're a good person because I want a relationship with you, right? That's the difference in 2s and 9s. But it looks so similar. It looks so similar anyway.
It does. It's just about where it's directed, you know?
Right. I don't know how long ago you took that test. Do you remember what specifically it was about 9 that you were reading and you were like, oh, this does not apply to me?
Yeah, I think kind of primarily kind of what you were saying was like where that like hopefulness is directed and where like the positive outlook is directed. Because like I'm pretty self-deprecating, and not in a terrible way, but it's just like, of course I did that. Like, it's like little things here and there. And that's about the extent that I think about myself on a regular basis, other than I'm hungry. Yeah. And I'm always hungry. That I think that was mainly the disconnect, was watching like, oh, okay, like I don't really do that in like
for me
within my it's for this person, whether I just met them or it's my parents or you know what I mean, like that's always been like well, surely they're not, it's like my dad used to say, giving other people the opportunity to be extraordinary, and I apparently just took that and ran like back and forth for my entire life. I've never been able to shake that.
Yeah,
it is, and it backfires a lot. Yeah, but that's but then that's part of the grace aspect of that is just like, well, yeah, I mean that's okay. Yeah, they can do that. Right.
So, okay, to get right into it a little bit, the not thinking about yourself, because I think one of the things that people misunderstand about 2s is how true that is and how rarely, if ever, what you want and what you need crosses your mind, and how much it takes to get that to cross your mind, right? So if you can you talk a little bit about what it feels like? Why are you unable to think about what you want and what you need? What does that make you feel like when you start thinking about what I want and what I need? Why is that so hard?
Yeah, I don't have anything to compare it to, in the sense of like, I don't know where that came from. So it like, and again, like this is the hardest part, is like me like breaking down what I think about myself. But I think it's kind of a mixture of selfishness and pride at the same, or you know what I mean? Yes, like this may not even be the right exact words, but like I feel extremely selfish when I stand up for myself. That is one of the most like primary, like, oh gosh, like I'm going to have to go talk to this dude about what happened, and I'm not okay with that. You know what I mean? And I feel like, oh gosh, like I'm going to have to tell him how I feel about it, because he probably isn't realizing that. Yeah. It's still like about, how making that other person feels instead of how I feel. And so when I have to do it, it's like when other people are like, dude, just tell him. It's like, it doesn't work that way in my brain.
Yeah.
I would rather shoulder it than go to that person and go, hey, now I've had to learn how to do that because, after college and stuff, I was like, I'm kind of a doormat with some people that I'm around, and I just can't be that way anymore functionally. Like I've just had to learn countermeasures for that sort of thing. But the pride aspect is the more of the internal part. I feel like, I don't know if there are a whole lot of people like me in this department, but when I hear something difficult, I shoulder that. Mm-hmm. And the pride aspect is I can handle that. Mm-hmm. That's the extent of that. And then the rest of it is, but because this other person can't, I will take that on.
Yeah.
And it's not about like, it could be 2 or 3 days later where I'm like, that kind of really messed with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like that it did.
Right.
So it's that grappling of those two aspects at the same time.
Okay. That was fascinating. I have 3 questions based off of that. We'll take them one at a time. So
Sure.
What I'm hearing, I'll do the first 2 first. What I'm hearing is there's kind of this inward and there's this outward force here, or kind of 2 things going on. I'll talk about the inward part first. I heard you talk about it's selfish to voice how I feel or what I want, right? Or what I want you to do or what I want to have happen here. That feels selfish. I want you to talk about that a little more. Like, do you, when you see other people standing up for themselves, do you ever feel like they're being selfish? Even if you know that's not logical, right? Like, do you apply that to other people as harshly as you apply it to yourself? Or are you much harsher on yourself than you are on other people?
To the second part, yes. I am a lot harsher on myself than I am on other people. And as far as are they being selfish, it really depends on the way that they're doing it. If somebody comes up and goes, this happened, I know you probably didn't mean it this way, but this is where I'm at. Mm-hmm. This is how it made me feel. All that, like, that doesn't seem selfish to me at all. That's more of a conflict resolution thing. Yeah. But, if somebody freaks out and, has a tantrum or worse or something like that, and it could be even deeper than that, so many people I've talked to have like or not rich is the wrong word, but like really deep-rooted childhood trauma and things like that, and they kind of make it everybody's problem throughout their daily behavior or the way that they treat other people. So it's like an externalization of like, no, you owe me this because this happened to me earlier and you had nothing to do with it, but I don't care. That, yes, I do find that selfish. I understand it and I hear it, but it's something to me that's like, that's still operating out of that. It's a defense mechanism, but yes, still by definition selfish.
So 2s are built off of, okay, I hope this next question doesn't hurt your feelings. I ask it in a very neutral way. I think every number has a contradiction in their behavior, right? And that's what kind of creates our personalities. And so for 2s, I've always been interested in this. It is selfish to let your life affect other people, sort of, is what I'm hearing there. I don't know if you would put different words on that. But also, at the same time, 2s are built off of, they know that they are a good person when they get to take care of other people, which is other people letting their life affect you, right? Yeah. So what's my question there? I don't know. Do you see that in your, like, how come you get to help other people, but no one gets to help you, right?
See, and there's the pride, right?
That's the pride.
Like, that's where that comes in. Right. Where it's like, and it's not like I think when people hear pride, they think like, just like this great self-image and stuff. Yeah. The only extent of that definition that applies to the way I think about myself is just that, like, I have a propensity for that kind of behavior. So I will readily take that on. And it's not just like the way interactions go between people. It's like tasks at work or like, I got that. Yeah. I can do that. And then I'm like holding 5 things and I'm like, I only have 2 hands. Like, what am I doing? And there, thankfully I have a little bit of self-awareness about that at this point in my life. I should. I'm 35.
Yeah, right.
But, or at least that's my self-talk. But I do think that is the component there of like, no, I don't expect anybody else to do this. I expect me to do it. It's the right thing to do, kind of a thing. It's more of an altruistic kind of a pride thing, and not in like a look how great I am. It's never about appearance or anything like that. It's just about like that. To me, somebody really needs that, and I can do that.
So it's about the fact that I could do that for you, and that's how I'm proving that I'm like allowed to be here or something, that I have worth here. I'm hearing that through my 3 brain, and I'm wanting to turn that into like value. You're proving your value, but I don't really know if that's really what it is. Like, what are you proving about yourself, if anything, by doing this?
That's the strange thing about that, because I hear you in that. Like, I always go back and forth on my wing numbers. If I'm a 1 or a 3, I really think it's more of a 1 than anything, because I don't register the value. Like, this is something that I can contribute, and then because I've contributed, like, I don't have that second part. I have, this is something that I can contribute, and that's super it. Like, it kind of stops there, which is odd, because like I was talking to Jeremy about this a long time ago, and he was like, so do you just like not think that you have value? And I was like, no, I have intrinsic value already. I just want other people to know that. So it's just kind of like, it's not like a, yes, I finally have that. Like I watch friends of mine that struggle with affirmation, needing affirmation or acceptance and things like that. And I'm like, why? I almost want to push that over. I'm like, you don't need that. That's annoying. Yeah. You already have that. Like, so that's an odd like disconnect I have. But so yeah, it's not really about that for me. It's like just the straight line of just, going from, I know that. You should know that about you too. Yeah. That's all. Yeah, I hope that makes sense.
It does. So, okay, I'm going to try to remember the line you just said. You said it's not about intrinsic value. I know I already have that. It's about, what did you say next? What did you say?
Showing other people that they have that also.
Oh, that they have intrinsic value. Oh, fascinating. Okay, how do you show people that they have intrinsic value? How do you prove that to people? And why do you want to prove that to them? That's fascinating.
That's a good question, because I'm still figuring that out. And everybody's a little different, obviously. And, it's with the Enneagram number, I feel like I learned that I was a 2 and then I need to learn all these other numbers and all these other combinations of wings and things like that. So I even know how to, because it doesn't unlock all those answers, but it does explain a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so, it's funny, like, having somebody on here like me, because then you're like, will you talk about everybody else and, like, how that works for them?
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, that, it is kind of that's the locked door. And everybody has one of those. And I don't really know where that started or, like, what started that for me, except for maybe my dad. My dad's behavior growing up was always very, like, he's the most generous person. He's probably a 2. He hasn't tested or anything, but and he's a fascinating person. You could split that one into 4 episodes if you interviewed him. But I don't know. I really think I, at a young age, had a close friend or something that was like very disconnected from their value, and I was like, stop that. But not in like not that short of a sentence, but just the only way I can think to do that with that person is by just listening. I like to listen. I'm not one of those like listen to respond people. Sometimes my brain will just go, you better bookmark this and say it before you lose it. And sometimes I lose it and I'm like, that wasn't that important. Yeah. But if somebody comes to me and they're going, hey, I'm upset. You have me. That's it. Like, you could do that for this. And I would just be like, what's going on?
Yeah, talk to me. Yeah.
And then forget what I was going to say at all. And that I do find valuable. I don't find that a lot out in the world. And not in like I'm so unique and cool. Yeah. It's just like that. I think if more people could learn to do those things, that would be ideal. And it would probably, rising tide lifts all boats kind of a thing. I hope that kind of answers your, like, what you're looking for there.
It does. I think this is I think this is so incredible how you're really talking about one of the best things about a 2, which is, so my mother's a 2. And at Thanksgiving, we were talking about, what we're thankful for. I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to connect it back to what you just said.
Sure.
I promise it's not unrelated. And I was talking and I was going around to each family member and I was telling them what I'm most thankful for. Because my point was that when I started my business last year, I'm very thankful that I had all these people who believed in me, right? And so I was going around each of my family members and I was telling them specifically what they did to help me do those things, right? And I said to my mother that I think what it is to have a 2 around you is to have someone who sees you. And what I said to my mother was that every time I have a bad emotion, I can call her, and as soon as I tell her, the emotion is split in half because she'll carry it with me, which as a 3 is very attractive to me because I don't like feeling bad emotions. And maybe it's a little selfish of me to be like, okay, take half of this, right? But I do it. She's my mother, and that's what she does, right? So,
right.
But I think this way you're talking about 2s, about how they see people's intrinsic value, and which again, going back to 9s, I actually do think 9s see that as well. But the difference is that 2s are going to do something to convince you that you have it, right? 9s are going to sit there and hold that knowledge and just like kind of wait for you to realize it by yourself. 2s are going to convince you, right? They're going to do something to convince you that you are valuable and that you have worth and that they want to be here with you.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful because 2s don't like talking about themselves in a good way. So I'm so glad that you said that.
Yeah.
Did that feel, I'm interested, did that feel selfish to say that?
So my instincts say yes. My learned experience is no. Because it's just is what it is. It's not a necessarily a positive or a negative. It could be a negative in a lot of cases. It has been in my life. I mean, for somebody who really likes to listen and do all those sorts of things, it's easy to take from me. Yeah, it's easy to just like, oh wow, cool, they're gonna do that with like no strings attached. Let me tap that resource until and I do have a limit, right? Like I'm a human being, and so there's a certain point where I'm exhausted emotionally, and it's rare, but it's like compartmentalized, right? Like if somebody is exhausting me over here on a regular basis, and then my wife walks in, I'm fine, like I got you.
And are you really fine, or you're good at resetting? Okay.
Fine is in functional is what I would say. Right. Like, am I still going to think about that while I go to bed at night? You bet. Yeah. You bet. But if she needs help moving something, or just to talk about her day or whatever, okay. It might take me a second to buffer, but ultimately, like that, if anything, that's almost therapeutic to what has been happening that is stressing me out. So that's also kind of comes into play where I've had to learn to stand up for myself and just go, hey. And I think everybody has experiences like this where if somebody's kind of taken a little more than you have to give them, and you say that, they're like, wow, I guess this isn't what I thought it was then. And
sorry for being so selfish. And you're like, yeah.
Right. and I do have my dad to thank for navigating that also. And my dad's a philosopher. He's got like 5 degrees.
That's crazy. I do want to meet him. That's
cool. Right? Yeah. He's a computer programmer, and he might have Meditations by Marcus Aurelius memorized.
That's crazy.
Like he's that kind of guy. Yeah. But I remember telling him about something like this once, and he was like, why would you stop them from going the direction that they want to go? What is the point?
What does that mean?
So, for example, I had a friend of mine kind of bail when our dynamic changed because I was doing other things and wasn't like available to them as much, kind of a thing. And I just kind of told, I'm sorry, this is what I'm doing now. And it kind of ended that friendship. And I was venting about it to my dad, and he was like, well, that's what he wants, isn't it? You can't make that decision for him, can you? And so like all of he's a big stoic.
I was just about to say, that sounds like stoicism. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Like Epictetus and people like that. And there are, the whole thing isn't it isn't a personality. You can't be a stoic and then be a personality, but you can use those elements to not only maintain your self-awareness, but your self-control also. I've always felt like an event that happens to you is uncontrollable. How you respond is at least practicably controllable.
Yes.
Like you can learn how to, wait those few seconds and then make your response, or what are you going to do about it, that kind of thing. And that's been extremely helpful too. I think they honestly, what I read about the Enneagram, I'm like, those kind of go hand in hand in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, I think this is so cool because, again, offline before we started, we were talking about, you said something about, I don't know, a lot about the Enneagram, right? Which, by the way, as you're talking, yes, you do.
Oh, cool.
But,
Neat.
hopefully I know enough that the conversation will be great. And what I said to you is that what I find doing these interviews with people is that actually, honestly, it's better to interview someone who doesn't know that much. Because when I interview people who know a lot about the Enneagram, what happens is that they just start talking about the Enneagram. They stop talking about themselves. And they start speaking with the words that they have been taught to talk about their number with versus what they actually feel. Like I do that too, right? Because I am steeped in the Enneagram all the time.
Yeah.
And so I bring that up to say everything that you were just saying is like the advice that we give to twos. It was just in different words. So twos, you share this with ones and sixes. You're in what we call the responsive stance or the reactive stance or the dependent stance, whatever. All that means is that you're thinking repressed. And all that means, right, is that there is very little time in between how you feel about something and what you're going to do about it, right?
Right.
And depending on if you're a 1, 2, or 6, that's going to be pointed at something different. Ones are going to feel that something needs to be done and they're going to do it, right? Twos are going to, it's all relationship based, right? I need to go help that person. I need to go save that person. I need to show that that person has intrinsic value. I need to convince them right now, right? There's very little space in between. I have this feeling that this thing needs to be done and I need to do, and I'm going to be the one to do it, right?
Right.
And I just heard you talk about, you literally just said like having a father who's trained me to take these few seconds in between stimulus and response basically has been, what's the word? Like irreplaceable, right? And that, I think that's fascinating because that is what I tell 1, 2s, and 6s they need is sort of that kind of stoicism. Like it's not yours to fix. It is not yours to control, right? You cannot control that person. You need to go let them do what they're going to do, whatever.
Right. Right.
So if you could talk a little bit about, so we've talked about like, where do twos need to go on the journey, right? Like what's the work they need to do? But if you can talk a little bit maybe about you like at your like unhealthier moments or you when you were younger, right? Like 15 to 25, that kind of area. When maybe you weren't as practiced at this stuff. Like how would you have responded to that situation where your friend was like, okay, bye, right? How would you have responded if you didn't have in your head your dad telling you, right? Like you need to, it's okay, just let them go.
I would have wallowed in that for quite some time. And I would have allowed that to, in this particular case, partially because of my dad's, interference, I really did not have the self-talk issues that I would normally, I think, have in a situation like that where I'm like, he's probably right.
Yeah.
Because I'm taking that person's word for what they're saying. Like that's part of this whole personality difference in the first place. But I do think the unhealthiest I've ever been with this sort of behavior is in romantic relationships, primarily in getting involved in romantic relationships when it was primarily just like that sort of dynamic where that person needed somebody to, this is going to sound odd, but not to get healthier, but to be informed that they are healthy.
Talk more about that. That's interesting.
Okay, so I've kind of always felt like everything is sort of intrinsic. Like we have what we need within ourselves, whatever that looks like to each person, but it's attainable. It's doable to get to a healthier place, or to get to a place where you're happier. Happy seems so paper thin to me. Like there's so many different layers of that that can be unpacked. But I feel like there was a relationship I was in college, and we were in high school. She was a year or two younger than I was. When she got to college, she had been going through a lot of romantic partners, like boyfriends, and wasn't really having a good time. And she vented to me about it. And I told her what I thought, which was that I think she was kind of placing her worth in those partners. It's tale as old as time.
Yeah, right.
I think we all kind of do it even in healthy relationships. There's still like a value there. But I just told her, right now where you're at, you're young. You're still kind of figuring out who you want to be and who you are. Those things are going to influence it one way or the other. So it's really up to you who you surround yourself with. I had a pastor when I was growing up that said, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I think that's a fair thing to say. So I was kind of telling her that same thing. And then she was like, well, then we should date. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. You're super attractive. Let's do that. It's like the worst 8 months of my life. I wish her the best now. Like, I still kind of know her, but like,
absolutely.
And that's a weird one too, is like, I know a lot of my exes, not like we don't like go hang out for lunch or anything. It's just like, I'll see that person out and just go, hey, remember when we dated? That was awful. How you been? It's
how you doing?
Like, and we're laughing, we're having fun. It's friendly. And I've had exes invite me to their wedding. Yeah. That is fundamentally weird. I'm not going to do that to you. But like, that's the thing, is now I look back at that stuff and I'm like,
what's going on?
I made this into a romantic situation when it probably should have just been, there should have been a whole lot of boundaries. And that's what I had to learn in the future, is like, because I don't want to jump into this particular subject yet, but being a male too.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are a lot of dudes that I don't get at all. At all. I was also raised in kind of a matriarchy. I've talked a lot about my dad, but like my mom is the youngest of 4 sisters. When we go on vacation and stuff with the whole family, it's like they do we do chores and stuff for them, but they're directing us.
Yeah, putting it on.
It's very much a woman-led situation, which is honestly, she's in the other room, but like that's part of what my wife like perked up when I said that. Like when we first started talking. Yeah. I was like, oh, it's kind of in a matriarchy. And she was like, really?
I also was like, that's fascinating. Let's talk about that.
Right. Yeah. And I wonder, too, if that's part of the nature, nurture, carrots and sticks kind of a thing for me ending up the way I have. Yeah. And my aunts are incredible and my mom's incredible. I'm very lucky to have the family that I have. And that has been very nurturing. And because of that, it's like the number one thing I have to share with people. And which is this is why we're talking about what we're talking about. But because of that also, like if I'm sitting at a table and I know 2 of these guys and this lady, I'm probably going to hear from her more. And not because I want to in like some weird, know. And no, it's just like I'm probably going to go, yeah, I think that too. Like I think about that often. Yeah. I do think about emotional intelligence. I do think and which is weird. Quick story. I was at a bar one time and this girl came in. I did not know her. And my buddies are sitting kind of down the way, and I was sitting down next to her, and she was talking to me. And this is, like 5-6 years ago, maybe longer. And then she left and gave me a hug. Like, I had never met this person before, and she gave me this hug. And my friends sitting over in the corner, they were like, dude, who is that? Yeah. And I said, hey, listen, there's no way I'm ever going to get involved romantically with her. She's still dealing with Kyle. Yeah. All right. And they're like, you sat there for 20 minutes. Did she tell you her entire life story? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, why did that happen? I'm like, I don't know. I really don't. That happens to me. And it's male or female. Like, it doesn't really matter. It's just like people will sit down and go, I think I can tell you this. I'm like, you can. That's sure. Yeah. So but going back to the unhealthy parts of my life, like that was definitely a component. Was like, I would mistake that sort of safety for connection or for intimacy or something like that.
I was gonna ask too. So one of my dear friends, Jackie Contessa, is a Enneagram teacher, and she is a 2. And I have heard her say that one of the things she wants most out of life is she just wants people to crack their rib cage open, and she wants to crawl
100%.
in. And that's like, that would be, if that could actually happen, that would be her biggest dream. And so I'm wondering if an invitation into a romantic relationship feels like that a little bit. It feels like someone
100%.
cracking their ribcage open and saying, yeah, you can live here for a little bit. And for a 2, I'm just now putting this together for some reason, because I've heard so many 2s talk about this same thing. My mother will talk about this whole thing with romantic relationships. I wonder for a 2, it would be so hard to figure out the difference in, do I actually want to date this person, or do I just want to crawl into their chest, right?
Right.
And know everything about them.
One of the first people I got extremely close to, never met her in person. We were really great friends now. We don't talk a whole lot. She's engaged. I'm married. Like, there's some boundaries there that I think we observe. And, but we met playing World of Warcraft. I'm a huge nerd.
Love it. Me too. It's
2005. Okay. Oh, cool. Yeah, we met playing World of Warcraft in like 2005. Cool. When we were in high school. Yeah. And she, gosh, she would really hate me saying this, but like, well, maybe not. A lot of walls up. Like, this person, she's a sweetheart. She's the most positive person. But she definitely, back then, and to some degree now, if you're getting close, she'll just stop interacting with you at all. And that was one of those periods where when we were in high school, I thought we were like going to be romantically involved despite distance and technology. Things, MySpace was new. We were like so excited. We're like, we're going to know everybody now. This is great. It's a horrible idea.
Yeah, we should go back. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember like being so disenchanted by that all the time, because it was just like, why won't you? I am right here. I'm not. And it was, but like, I also didn't want to force myself in. I love that you said that she cracked, or like they want you to crack their own ribs open.
And invite you.
Because it was never like, I'm not going to knock your walls down. I'm going to wait until you open the gate.
Yeah.
And despite like being so close to that person still, like, and knowing that person really well, probably more than she would like anybody else to know her, because of just, we've known each other for years. I do think that's still a component. It's like, she still hasn't done that.
Yeah.
And so I'm still like,
hello,
you're going to someday, but maybe if you don't, it's fine. But also, if you want to,
that's the goal.
Like,
yeah.
But if you want to, call me.
Yeah, right.
And like, I'll be happy to hear you out,
right.
you know? And it's still rewarding though. That's the beauty of things like that, is for some reason, that doesn't bother me.
Right.
That she had, like, it bothers me on her behalf, because I'm like, you are missing out on like a lot of growth and health and things like that. And I think there's probably a lot happening within those defensive barriers that are not probably good for you. It's purely the point. But like, as at a young age, yes, definitely mistook that for like some kind of like romantic challenge or something. I don't know how to really describe that other than that, but
well, and also,
thankfully it wasn't.
I mean, we don't live in a culture that really invites really, really deep relationships unless you're romantically involved, right? So I assume if you're a person hardwired for very deep relationship, when you're young, the only way you know how to get that is to date somebody, right? You're not really allowed to do that with your platonic friends. I imagine, would be interested to hear what you say about this. I imagine, especially as a man, I
would say so.
I don't know. So not to bring up the like male loneliness epidemic, but
I know we're putting that on.
You know, like, men, it is a stereotype that men don't have these very deep relationships. They don't invite people in, right? They don't let their friends live in their chest, that kind of. I love that metaphor. Thank you, Jackie, if you're listening.
Yeah. Thank you, Jackie.
Has that been hard for you growing up? Did you notice early on that you were different from your other male friends, or were you different from your other male friends? I don't know. Talk about that.
Yes. Yeah. In high school, I had a falling out with my best friend.
Male?
Because of and because of a romantic relationship on his part. There was he was just like, he got kind of weird. Yeah. I don't know how else to put it, because it happened in high school, so like,
we were all a little weird.
Despite processing it since then, it was like, yeah, I get it now, like, no big deal. Yeah, and we were like, I'm kind of a bigger guy now, but I was 97 pounds soaking wet when I graduated high school. I was this mousy little kid, and And he was like the ham. He was like, everybody thought this guy was the funniest dude.
Yeah.
And I've always fit this role. I think Jeremy would die laughing when he hears me say this, but I was always kind of a trusty sidekick, where I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Sure. What you need, cool. And I think that also kind of hindered male relationships with me, because they'd be like, you're just a follower. And I'm like, no, I'm choosing to do this actively. Like, I can do whatever I want, but this is what I'm deciding to do for whatever reason, whether I realize the reason or not. So anyway, this guy gets in a relationship with a girl. It goes badly, and he just never wants to speak to me again either. Even I didn't have anything to do with their falling out either. But it was just like, I don't know if he thought I did. I don't know. But because of that, my landscape of people that wanted to talk to me changed from virtually everybody in my class or grade or like, I was in band, like marching band, which is it was like 150 people.
Yeah, that's a lot. Very social too. Yeah.
Right, and he's very popular in that, so it goes from that to like 4 people.
So because he was the popular kid and he's not talking to you anymore, all of a sudden no one else is talking to you too. Okay, I'm following.
Right, it kind of just they just kind of went with him because he's fun and
he's the guy.
But also there wasn't a lot of depth there either. So at the time I was devastated because I was like, that is the only guy I really consider a friend of mine here. Everybody else just wants to know me,
right? And
that takes a lot of work. And at that time I was exhausted emotionally.
Of course.
So. This is like, like watching a TV show for me, looking back on it. But the next year I went to college, and you get to kind of reinvent yourself in an environment like that. I don't recommend it for everybody, but if you need to reinvent yourself, go back to school, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
I thought that was more valuable than the stuff I learned, and I learned some really incredible stuff. Speaking of which, in our music literature book, there was a segment about Joseph Haydn, who's a composer in the early 1700s. As far as I'm concerned, I found his music really boring. I played a lot of it. But he would, like, not against his will, but he worked for this family court in Austria. And they would say, like, he was in charge of conducting the orchestra, writing the music, hiring the musicians, like, doing all the stuff, and putting on concerts for this royal court at this castle, basically. And I've been trying to find this quote ever since I read it, but I will never forget it, and I know I didn't dream it up. But he would lock himself in this room for like months at a time by himself. And I immediately was hooked because I was like, that's what I've been doing.
That's great. Why? To be able to do his job and like...
Right. He said, with all of those lonely nights and the ink and quill and the candle burning and all the stuff, he said, I was forced to become original.
Ooh.
I've never been able to get rid of that out of my brain at all.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I love that for twos. Tell me why that stuck with you so quickly.
Because I felt so other anyway at that point. I had no terminology or no real even understanding of like why I communicate the way I do, why I think the way I do, why I feel the way I do with other people, and why I wasn't seeing the same behavior from other people, except for certain, like there were just isolated pockets of like, okay, they get it, and then they would go their own way or whatever. So it's just like, what is happening to me? Like, why am I like this? That was a huge moment for me because I learned to just go, oh, okay, I am just like this. And there it is. Yeah. It doesn't have to be some flowery, grandiose definition of why I am the way I am or anything like that. It just is. And understanding that was enough for me because not knowing something, I don't know if that's a thing for twos, but like not understanding something, like if somebody goes, hey, can we talk later? Yeah. Devastated. Yeah, devastated. I'm devastated. I'm going to quit my job before I get home. Like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? I'll come over right now. I'll walk to your house.
Just be like, hey, you forgot to do the dishes yesterday. Can we talk about that when you get... Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure. I'm still going to worry about it. But at least I'm not going, who did I murder? And I didn't know that I murdered somebody. I might have done that. Like the gamut of just like insane things that I could have done. especially with the harmful self-talk.
Yeah. In what
I could be prone to
horrible way have I hurt someone in the last 24 hours?
Right.
Yeah.
I can't believe me.
Yeah.
Golly. It's this horrible spiral. So I hope that kind of answers what you're talking about. But what that meant for me was really just clearing up the uncertainty around that and just going, okay, well, then let's find out more about this rather than wonder why I'm this way at all.
What I'm hearing is that you had experiences that illustrated to you that yes, you are different than these other. Like we're talking men, but probably a lot of people, right? You are different from other men and how they function in their relationships.
And I don't think
acceptance around that.
Right, and by no means do I think of like a superiority sort of a
it's just
situation.
different.
No. Yeah. I'm not wired that way, man.
No, we've heard you say this can bite me, right, in certain ways. But the other thing I wanted to say, so the reason I love that quote that you just gave for twos especially, can you say it again?
I was locked. Basically, he was locked away, and he said, because I was locked away, I was forced to become original.
Yes, okay. So the word original I love because I have been told that the Enneagram, to doing real work with the Enneagram is hardest for two numbers. It's hardest for twos and it's hardest for threes because we are connected to shame, which means that we don't want to look at ourselves. And we're not a 4, so we're not internally referenced. So we can just go all day without looking inwards. You know what I mean? All year, forever, we can do that, right?
Yeah.
And
don't need to.
It's very easy to convince ourselves, like you said, right? I'll learn the Enneagram so that I'm better for all these other people. And what the Enneagram really, like the work really for a 2 is be better for yourself, right? And face all the ways that you are doing all these things. Anyway, so I've been told it's the hardest for 2s and 3s. And I think, to bring it back to being original, your security number is a 4 if you're a 2, which means that as you travel along the path of security, what you really need is to look inside yourself and figure out what you feel, right? How do I feel about this without picking up what other people are telling you to feel about it? And so when I hear 2s talk about that, what I hear is them being true to themselves. And I almost want to say the word original. Like, you aren't picking up the feelings of other people, which is what 2s are doing all the time. If someone's excited, then the 2's excited. If someone's sad, then the 2's sad, right? A 2 is never creating their own original human experience because they're too busy adopting the human experience of other people.
The way I put that is I'm an unwilling emotional chameleon.
Ooh, okay. Talk more.
So let's say, for example, I'm married to a 4. She's a woman. Like, she's not the number 4. I'm married to a person that tested as a 4. Right. Just want to clarify, I'm not married to a number. It'd be weird.
We love her, and her Enneagram type is a 4.
She's delightful. And, if she gets in a mood about something and, like, gets frustrated about something, I'm like, I tense. And not because I'm mad at her for doing that or anything like that. It's just, like, the temperature in the room changed. Yeah. And so I've also learned to navigate that, too, because she, being a 4, like, has a lot of, like, post feelings is what I call it about those things. And I learned a lot about this kind of thing because I basically married, like, she obviously very, very unique person. Jeremy has a lot of those similar traits, and I've hung out with him constantly for years. So I already kind of, like, knew how to go through some of those things. And so when she would go, I'm sorry I was like that earlier. And I'm like, you're my wife.
It's fine. Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to scare me. That's not what we're doing here. It's a reassurance thing. And that's, like, what has helped comfort me in those moments. Like, if I get a little tense, I'm like, we're going to be able to smooth this over in a second. It's not going to take that long. It is a moment in time. That's it. But it's an involuntary reaction for sure. Yeah. If somebody at work is irritated, I get irritated. I'm like, why are we? And I'm not good at being mad. I'm really bad at it.
Yeah.
And not in like I throw myself around. I'll just I'll say some dumb stuff because I don't know what to say when I'm mad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's rare anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because I usually just go, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
truly. I think that's one of the most.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
I think that's one of the
fine.
most fascinating things about twos is that twos find it so hard to get angry, but they will get angry for someone else.
Oh, yeah.
And the rest of us sometimes see it, and sometimes I'm like, I think you're using that other, you know what I mean? You say you're mad for them, but you also kind of seem mad. Anyway, I just think that's very fascinating. Twos really, really don't like to get angry, but they'll immediately get angry for someone else. Anyway, keep going about what you were saying.
No, you're exactly right. That's actually where I was going with that too. Is like the anger aspect or component of this is kind of it's kind of a moot subject because it doesn't have anything to do with me. I don't get mad at myself, not really. I'll get annoyed, or I do think there's a difference. But like there were times like when Jeremy and I would hang out, and he would like be self-deprecating, which isn't weird. He does that all the time, and I would say, stop that. That's my friend you're talking about. And he would say, that's not what I want to hear. And I would say, you're always screwing things up. I would just immediately switch to, and then he would die laughing because he knew. I was just like, what do you want me to? What do you want me to say?
Yeah. Do you want me to be mean to you as well? Yeah. Right.
Yeah. You want me to get you a cake that says you're the worst?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah. You're right. Everyone hates you. You're the worst.
Right. So like diffusing that
right.
is the goal at that point. But I kind of lost my train of thought on where we were going with that in the first place, despite like originality. Other than that,
you were talking about being a social chameleon, an involuntary social chameleon.
So in that regard, like it's a momentary thing. I don't think it's like something that sticks with me, but it definitely does. If the temperature in the room changes, I change also, and I don't want to. I never want to. But it's like, now here we are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not like my emotional reaction to like, well, that makes me mad. It's just like, no, I'm also mad now.
Yeah.
If you're mad, I'm also mad. And I don't know. I'm mad at me too.
Oh,
like, what do I do?
Okay. I love that difference. The difference in that also makes me mad versus, oh, I'm also mad now.
Right.
That is two different things because you're not reacting to the thing that made that other person mad. You're reacting to that person being mad, and now I am also mad. That's fascinating. I've never heard.
It's not the unstoppable force in the immovable object where nothing is happening. Yeah. It's like, no, I'm going with you now.
Yeah.
Like, where are we going?
Yeah.
Or, whose house are we egging? Don't egg houses.
Yeah.
It's not my point.
Do you? So you say you wish you weren't like that, or you just wish you had a little more control over it?
I don't like the initial clinical reaction that has. Like I was saying earlier, like there are things that I've learned how to do to combat that. And so like, it's the waiting a few seconds before you say something, or the let me chew on that for a minute, or things like that. And nobody likes that. Yeah. Nobody likes when you're like, let me wait to respond before I say something stupid. Yeah. Because then they're like, oh, are you going to say something stupid? And you're like, I will if you keep going.
Maybe, don't push me. Yeah.
yeah, I might. And you're not going to like it. But it's primarily just like I hate the sanguine. The like blood red feeling you get when something is like stirring you. I hate it. I hate that because it's a feeling of a loss of control, even if it's brief.
Fascinating.
That's the part I don't like.
Yeah.
So instead of like, because I've I've had things that people have told me about what they're dealing with and stuff, and I'm just going, yeah, I gotcha. And they're like, how are you okay with this? And I'm like, I'm just hearing you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not experiencing that at the moment.
Yeah.
But depending on the way that's relayed or conveyed, then that,
you might,
can
have to pick it up.
Right. And that level of emotional like reaction is not something that I love to do or have.
That's so Another thing I'm hearing here is, again, with 1, 2s, and 6s, it's this whole thinking repression thing. But it is... So we say that 3, 7, and 8s, I don't know if you know any 3, 7, or 8s, but we call them the independent stance. And people often like to talk about 3, 7, and 8s being controlling. But it's 3, 7, and 8s want to be in control of ourselves. But if you aren't coming with us, great, you're getting left behind, right? And that can feel controlling when you feel like you're supposed to keep up with us.
Yeah.
But there is sort of a difference in that. And what I'm about to say about 1, 2s, and 6s, I have been taught that 1, 2s, and 6s are actually can be the most controlling because they are affected by their environment. That's what you're saying, right? If there's an emotion in front of me, if it is presented in the correct way, I have a reaction to it. I just do. But
right.
No one likes feeling that way, right? Out of control. I love that you use the word out of control. Nobody likes feeling out of control. So 1, 2s, and 6s want to control their environment so that their environment does not affect them like that, right? I want to be in charge of what people are saying to me or how people, whatever, right? It's going to be different if you're a 1, 2, or 6. Because if something happens, I have to react to it. So I want to make sure that things don't happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
a 3, 7, or 8 would say, I don't care if things happen because I don't feel the need to respond to it. I'm not thinking about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's what I'm hearing there is this innate external connection to your environment and the very human need to not want to be affected by it, but I am. So how do I handle that? Right. I imagine a lot of people, I know a lot of people struggle with that. I hear that from a lot of people. For
sure. I do feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it primarily has to do with how people are feeling.
Yeah.
Rather than like an event or something like that. It's like, that I had a guy come in the other day to the store and he's a great guy. I don't want to go hang out with this dude.
Yeah.
But I know him well enough. And that's part of what's helped me navigate all this too, is I've just learned how to manage expectations of behavior. I think everybody should do that. you know, like I hang out with some rough people being a musician. Yeah. And people go, man, that guy sucks. I'm like, what do you mean? That's what he does. That's what he's like.
Yeah, you're expecting him to do something different.
He's doing exactly what I expect. He's doing exactly what I expect him to do. I can manage that. It may mean that I limit interaction or something like that, but I definitely know what's coming from that guy. Yeah. And sometimes they surprise you.
Yeah,
one way or
truly.
the other. But this guy came in. He's a nice guy, but I'm not a huge fan of him. And he was very clearly upset. And I just went, "What is it? What are you dealing with?" And he started talking to me, and I like, that was one of those moments where I just got gooey.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But I was like, "Okay, do you want to go outside for a second?" And we did. And it was cool. And it was, it was a brief moment of just like, man, he may not be the guy that I like want to go hang out with all the time, but I still think about that moment.
Of course.
Like 8 days late or whatever.
Yeah, however long.
It was like a week and a half ago. I still think about that because I'm like, I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's one of those examples where I'm like, I did not want to feel that way at that particular moment, but he did.
And so then I did.
Here we are.
Yeah,
right.
Here we are. I love
Precisely.
here we are. I'm going to steal that and I'm going to use it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Here we are.
Alrighty. This is my last question that I ask everybody to wrap things up, okay? So you're 35 right now. We're going to time travel 10 years. You're in the room with your 25-year-old self. What would you tell him if he would listen to you?
I was thinking about this one earlier. I hate this question. I hate this one and the where would you be in 5 years?
Yeah.
Like, I hope here,
right.
doing my thing, like what are you talking about? I would probably, it's so nice to be able to say this, but I'd probably tell them to keep doing what you're doing.
I think that's
at that time in my life, I just finished student teaching. I did not have a great student teaching experience. It was the worst period of my life.
Yeah, same.
It was super horrible. Yeah,
I did
not for everybody.
I don't know if you knew. I have a master's in education. I did a year of student teaching. Horrible.
Very cool.
Worst year of my life. It was horrible. Anyway, keep
Yeah,
going.
see, and yeah, mine was almost a year. You know, it's what, September 15th through November 15th?
Right, yeah.
I showed up June 1st, and I lived with my, like, co-teachers.
Mm-hmm.
They were married. It was a bad dynamic.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it was not a healthy thing for anybody involved, I don't think. I learned a lot of what I would never do.
Yes.
To
Honestly,
another person, not necessarily in a classroom.
Yeah.
Because, having a master's in education, like, one of the hardest things you can do is motivate a student.
Oh, yeah.
To go, why do I need to learn this? You have all the clinical answers in your head. Well, because you may need to do this at some point. And they're going to go, so? I'll do something else. I love that. I think it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Like, let me show you why you need to learn this. And it always works. It's never like, that could be a whole other conversation. But at that point in my life, I had just done that. I moved home for a few months. And when I turned 25, I had an apartment with two roommates that I've known these guys since I was 5 years old. Mm-hmm. They were also 5. We were in Tiger Cub Scouts together.
Cute.
And one of them still runs the warehouse at the company I work for. And the other one is a family member of the company that I work for. Like, we've just been together for 20 years at this point, or 30 at this point. But I remember feeling very like, it was kind of adventurous. Where I was like, I'm not sure what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. I thought I was going to go be a band director or something, which is, in hindsight, as much as I love my band director friends, lame. They're all lame. They're losers, and I hate them. Not really. But they do ask me if we're hiring a lot, so like I know how stressed out they are.
Right.
That really served me well being on the road visiting them, because that's what I would do. I'd get in a van and I would drive around my area and visit small town music teachers.
That's cool.
And a lot of them are on islands. I mean, they're like an hour away from anything.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And some of them are like single people, or just like, they're just saddled with all this work, and so they would vent. And it's like that. I got so much cool practice. I should have been a therapist. I guess. I don't know. Not because I'm just innately good at it, but because I innately love it.
Yes.
I have a therapist friend up north who's always like, why didn't you just go back?
Yeah.
Just go back
to school. Do it real fast.
Right. But that's what I was doing when I was 25. I had just gotten this job, and I started going to see school music programs, and the rest of the time it'd be 30 hours a week behind a windshield. It was a lot of schools. I dedicated most of my adult life to that. It was like I would work 80 hours a week, maybe 100 sometimes, just because a kid needed clarinet reeds down the road or something, That's a little reductive, but I was exhausted at that time. I was isolated. I was directionless, but I loved that at that point in my life. Like, I loved that the door to something was still open.
Yeah.
Not that it was like, this ain't over. So that would be my answer, is if I was talking to him like, hey, man, keep doing what you're doing. You're going to be all right. You're going to be fine. Because that's what I would say to anybody else, too.
Yeah.
I
love everybody's answer to this. This is my favorite question to ask everybody, because I genuinely love everybody's answers because of what they say, but also how they say it. And you can hear their number in it, like but I especially love when people say, you're going to be fine. Because I just think if we could all hear it and internalize it when we're young, you're going to be fine.
Right.
Because you really will be. You'll be fine. Right.
And a lot of times at that age, so you're spending so much time trying to be fine.
Yes. Yeah. And build
and like
a life that's fine,
Right. Because now you're at this half finish line, half starting line where everybody's, you have other people's expectations of like, you're supposed to be this way. You're supposed to do this. And there was a little bit of me that was like, I'm supposed to be married with children now. And I got married November 1st of this
year. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. They were still married. It's great. Yay. It's going great. I know. We're doing something right. But I remember having a little bit of that pressure on me. of the other people's expectations, and they didn't have any.
Yeah.
Other people don't think about me at all.
No, that's the thing. People don't think about us. They don't.
No.
They don't.
No, this is purely a reflective thing.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky that I had the support systems that I had the wherewithal to do the things that I did. But I definitely didn't know what I was doing. I still don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I've
And
decided
that's
not
fine.
the point.
Right? That's the point is
Right.
that that's fine.
Right. And so what I would say to myself is what I say to most people is, have you taken the time to give yourself a damn break lately? Have you, you don't have to think you're the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
You don't have to look at yourself in the mirror and go, I am the winner today.
Yeah.
You don't have to, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is, you're going to be all right. It's going to be okay. You know?
I do. Well, that's great. Thank you, BJ, for being here. You talk about, it is, I'll tell you what, 2s, 5s, and 8s, it's hard to get you to talk about yourself.
Just if you need more 2s, at least I can't speak for 5s or 8s, but if you need more 2s, just say you need help with something.
I do. Listen, if you're a 2 listening to this and you want to come on the
we need your help.
podcast and you're 35 or under, message
Yeah.
me, okay?
We need help understanding.
Yeah, I had a
Right.
few other 2s, but their audio was not, anyway, whatever. It was not usable.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you're a 2 and you're listening, message me. But BJ, thank you for being here. This was lovely, lovely, lovely. It was lovely to meet you.
Absolutely. Nice to meet you too. I'm glad I could help out.
I agree. Me too.